Hello guys, welcome to another video. Today you join me back at Newton Park, and today I'm fishing a swim known as Style Swim. So on the opposite bank to the straight, which I like to call it, and I'm in the deeper water. I've got a bit more body of water to fish as well. I'm already set up. My left hand rod I've got down in my left hand margin, and my right hand rod I've got out to mid water. When I did get here, I actually took a minute just to observe and see before I made a decision on the swim, but surprisingly after a lot of hot weather I thought the fish were all going to be on the surface up in the upper layers invisible, but absolutely nothing when I got here. No sign of any fish, and as I got to the Style Swim I seen a fish roll right out in front of me, so very confident that we picked the right swim. So yeah, hopefully later we might get a chance of surface fishing if the ducks aren't around, but at the minute they're eating everything that I'm chucking out on the surface. But without further ado, I'll show you my rigs and setup in a moment, but the weather's glorious, so hopefully we'll get a fish to go with that. Right, so I've been here for a good couple of hours now, and I thought I'd go through the rigs that I'm using today. I started off with both rods on the blowback rig with the 16mm core boilie, just my normal rig ring blowback variation. And haven't had anything for the past couple of hours, so I decided on my right hand rod out to mid water I'd mix it up a bit, and I stuck on an IQD rig, size 6, curved shank, cap to hook, the sharpest one that I had, and that's on the IQ2 material, and that's with a core wafter. So I've got that one out to mid water, and hopefully, fingers crossed, that's gonna produce a fish. Haven't really seen much activity, to be honest. The carp, a few are coming around on the surface, not enough to make me change to my surface gear, but fingers crossed later on we might get a chance of that. It's meant to get really warm today, so I'm sure we might have a chance of doing that. But my left hand rod in the margin I'm going to stick on the blowback rig, and I probably will for the majority of the session. I know it's a rig that works, and I prefer my bottom bait rig, so hopefully we might get a fish soon. There we are then, a lovely little carp, probably around the £6 mark. Perfect little common. That was down on the left hand rod, down in the margin, on the core baits boilie, on the blowback rig. Lovely little start, so let's slip her back. Right, so it's coming up to about 3:30 now, and all we've had so far is that one common carp about midday. And that was on the left hand rod and the margin on the blowback rig, on the core 16mm boilie. But since then, haven't seen too much action or had any runs of sort. No one else is caught around the lake, but I am starting to see some fish in the upper levels of the water. It's tempting me to chuck out a zig on the right hand rod, but I know bottom baits work really well here. I haven't used zigs before on this lake, so I'm going to stick with the bottom bait rig because I know it works here. And if I see, I'm going to chuck some biscuits out and see what happens. But what I've chucked out at the moment, none of the carp are going for. It doesn't seem like they're hungry. They're just cruising around. So it hasn't made me change one of my rigs over to the surface. But in the next hour or so, if they do start feeding on the top, I'll probably change my right hand rod over and stick a controller on it in maybe a chop down pop up to imitate a dog biscuit. But at the minute I'm going to stick with the bottom bait. And fingers crossed we might be into another fish fairly soon. Right, so about half an hour ago I spotted some fish just patrolling in the far margin just behind me, so I decided I'd flick a few dog biscuits out. You know, I've been watching it for the past 10-15 minutes, just observing, and they're not really interested in the biscuits. It's literally as soon as I was chucking the biscuits out, they were just swimming off. So I think they're just cruising. They're not really feeding. So I think I'm going to stick with my 2 bottom rigs in probably seeding the night out. It doesn't, unless they start feeding quite aggressively on the surface, I don't think I'll bother changing over to a surface rig. But for now, I'm happy on the bottom. So fingers crossed, we might get one before we have to pack up. So there we are then, one other double take. This one's very lively, so slipping back. Unfortunately lost the second one. As I was just unhooking this one, the other one rattled on, so I quickly put him back in the net and let him rest in the water, so that's why he's a bit lively. But this one on the left hand margin rod on the core bottom baits, there's been a few fish over the spot, so I was pretty confident that this one was going to go off, but as you can tell, he's a bit lively, so we're slipping back. Right, so it's come up to the end of my session. I've just packed up and I've retreated to a bit of shade to do my outro, but just thought I'd go through what happened with the last fish. I landed that mirror carp probably around the £8 mark, and just as I just managed to unhook him on the mat, and me upper rod out to mid water with the IQD rig on the core wafter shot off. So I put that £8 mirror back in the net and let him just sit in the margins. And while I was playing the upper fish, as it was coming in, it was a lot bigger than the mirror that I had in the net, but where I had a bit of time to probably shake the hook, it come off just as I was just about to pull it over the net, unfortunately. So lost the second one of that double take. But it was a cracking looking mirror carp to finish the session with. I mean, that was about an hour ago now, and yeah, it's come up to about 6:30, and I've decided to pack up. The heat, it's pretty hot and the heat's sort of got to me, so I'm going to go home, have a shower and get some food. Yeah, but thank you very much for watching the video, guys. Please like if you've enjoyed the video, and subscribe if you haven't already. It's very much appreciated. But until the next time, I'll catch you later.